Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. All right, this week we have a new intro.
Yes, welcome my friends and great listeners. You are on the Sunkofadiv Talk Show with Casey Armstrong.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, this guys, you know who I'm speaking with, the one and only, the Yashu'a Eloheem. Yashu'a, so nice to see you as always. You're always ready, always on, always making me smile. How are you?
I am great. I'm well. I'm here. I'm breathing. Yeah, I got all my faculties. I'm good.
All right. I'm with you. Can you give people just a little refresher in case this is their first show, listening to Yashu'a Eloheem show for the first time?
Okay. Well, actually, we've been going over the chakras, the energy centers within the body. So today we're going to talk about the fifth chakra, which is the throat chakra. But we're also going to acknowledge the mental health month by talking about mental health. And I am going to share a bit of my story in regards to mental health. Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, great. So why don't we start with mental health? Mm-hmm. If this goes unnoticed, or a lot of people don't pay the attention that we should to mental health. Mm-hmm. Would you agree?
I agree.
And what it's a broad term. Does that include things that we're born with or things that come on later in life? What would you have to say about that?
I think it's both. I think you genetics, based on genetics, and I think it can be developed based on the environments that you're placed in.
Okay. Yes. So how do we maintain a good mental health if we're not born with some other
genetics or
genetic, right?
The way, first of all, you got to be honest with yourself.
Yeah. And
in being honest with yourself, you got to have a really good support team around you. And it could be friends or family, or, you have to have those things in place, because sometimes when you're too close to the tree, you can't see the forest. So you don't understand exactly what's going on with you, but someone on the outside could probably confirm to you what's going on with you. So if that happens, and when that happens, I mean, it will behoove you to see if you can get some assistance, some professional psychological psychiatry assistants or social workers. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember, I guess when I was growing up, some people didn't think that depression existed. They just thought you were having a bad day. Mm-hmm. Do you think that that stigma still has, some people still believe that mental health, you're just going through a little bit of a time? I know those people are kind of phased out here, because I mean it's a real thing, obviously.
Mm-hmm. It is a real thing. And yes, absolutely, there are people out there who really feel like you can just break through it. But what you don't know is that if the depression goes untreated, it deepens itself. So when it deepens, it develops into other things, mm-hmm. like bipolar, schizophrenia, multiple personality disorders and things of that nature. So it branches out. Mm-hmm. So it would behoove of you to, again, be honest with self and have a good support system. And if you got people around you who just keep telling you, oh, you're just having a bad day. No, you're not just having a bad day. You're right. Having weeks of this stuff. You might need to take it upon yourself and be somewhat proactive about your own mental health.
Mm-hmm. What has your experience been with mental health? You were going to share a story with us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. when I went into the Marine Corps, matter of fact, I was assaulted when I was in the Marine Corps. And I mean, it really done some things psychologically. Not only that, I was coming from these things. So to have it done in the Marine Corps, the branch of my heart, you
Right.
know what I'm saying? It was a devastating experience, but nevertheless, I was diagnosed with PTSD.
Okay.
And later on, I was diagnosed with complex PTSD.
What's the difference?
The difference is PTSD is like anxiety, a lot of anxiety, or you're having constant flashbacks. But complex PTSD is something that you cannot, it may look like bipolar, but it may be multiple personalities. You see what I'm saying? It
Okay.
branches out, it just branches out into into different things.
So panic attacks in there?
Yes, panic attacks,
Yeah.
anxiety.
Anxiety.
It's a cluster. It's a cluster of disorders. Let me put it like that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, a
Understood.
cluster. Yeah, a cluster of disorders, which is why it's called complex,
Okay.
because you can't pinpoint it. You don't know exactly what it is. But I was diagnosed with that. What, 20, maybe almost 25 years ago, and I've had to really, really do some work. You understand? And I'm not saying just spiritual work. I'm saying I had to use conventional medicine and conventional methods such as psychology, psychiatry, social workers. I had a team, and I still have a team of people who move when I move. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
You have to put the work
And
in. Yeah.
yeah, but you have to, of course, you're going to have your team there, but you have to meet them halfway. You can't just think that they're going to save you or cure you. No, you have to meet them halfway. And the only way that you can do that is be honest with your own flaws and your own disorders that you feel and have within your being, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah, I couldn't believe you had the toughness. Well, I do believe, but I can't believe that after everything that happened to you,
Mhm,
you were able, when you were at that place where you were staying with all men
mhm.
in that place, that must have been a real test.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I realized when I got there and I realized that I was the only woman, I realized that my healing was more important than me getting caught up in my emotional preconceived notions about, quote unquote, what I think a man should be
Right.
or what he should talk like. So I'm always, healing is an ongoing process. And to heal oneself, you got to have unconditional love for self. You can't give that out to anyone else unless you have given it unto yourself. You can't forgive another person unless you have already forgiven yourself, because you have to understand that you are the same person that created the experience in the first place.
Right. Was it hard that I think you were telling me one time that you had to forgive those people that did those horrible things to
Mhm.
you? Was that the hardest part?
No. Mm-mm.
What do you think that what was the well, first of all, let me just back up. What made you go and seek help in the beginning? Was it the panic attacks? Was it the anxiety? Do you say that something's not right?
Yeah, it was the spaciness of not feeling grounded or not feeling integrated within myself. Like, I always felt like I was separated against myself. I was broken down in many pieces. For an example, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I can be having an argument with someone, and in that argument, I'm actually outside of myself, watching myself have this argument.
Oh, wow.
Sure. Yeah, so I had these moments, and it is,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know that. Well, I know you now. I didn't
Mhm.
know you back then,
Right.
and
Thank God.
you're one of the most grounded and on point people that I know. I'm sure it took a while to get there, right?
Yes, indeed, indeed.
And
And it
that
took
that
a
I'm sorry, go
go
ahead.
go ahead.
Well,
Um,
you go. I'm sorry.
no, I mean, it took me to be humble, and to identify these issues within myself, but also embrace them, because you can't release them until you embrace what is there. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you can identify it and you can ignore it all day long, but I chose to identify it, embrace it, accept it, and release it. Huh?
Yeah. Well, um, that the PTSD and the complex PTSD, that's quite common in the military, right? But
Yes, it is.
you had you had going in there. Did you
Mm-hmm.
have it before you got the Marines, and that just exacerbated it when that other thing happened?
Yeah, and that was my battle with the Marine Corps.
Okay.
Is that it was aggravated. It was already there, but it was aggravated. And that was a case that went on for 20 years. And I have just 3 years ago, I've just won that case.
Oh, good.
Okay. So the case was open in 2000, and I just won the case. Okay. But the interesting thing about that, Casey, is that I went into the Marine Corps knowing without a shadow of a doubt that I would retire out of the Marine Corps. That's how much I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
However, I didn't know how I was going to retire. So 20 years later, I am retired, medically retired from the Marine Corps. You see?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Yash, let me ask you, with going back to the mental health, are there
Mhm.
still some I guess they call them triggers?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's something that you're dealing with still day to day. Can you
Absolutely.
talk about that for the
Mhm.
listeners?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I want to say I live with it.
Okay,
Okay. I live with
difference.
PTSD. Yes, it's in the closet, and every now and then it slips out.
Okay.
That's PTSD for me. Um, I may be I may be at a party, and some loud. Oh, I use one example. I was at Planet Fitness the other day working out, and this alarm came on.
No.
And it triggered, but it did not ignite anything. It's almost like pulling the trigger and the bullet wasn't even there. The gun wasn't even loaded. So I listened to it and I just ignored it and just kept working out, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
years ago,
Yeah.
it would have been a lot
You
different, right?
uh-huh. Uh-huh. And I kid you not, even in Long Island, every so often there's an alarm that goes off. It's and it just throws it during that time when I was in Long Island, it would throw me completely off.
Wow.
And one of my clients, she would see the anxiety that I would have, and she would say, just calm down. It's just an alarm. And it's
Mhm.
nothing. But
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So for people that are going through the PTSD, um, is that something that you need a good support group around to kind of put you in the right way to go get you the help, or do you know that you? I suppose everyone's different, but for the most part, is that something that you know that just something isn't right? You need to get help. I'm just thinking of the people out there who may not know what to do.
Yes, I would say you definitely need to find professional help. You know, I don't too much care for the textbooks because I have had the experience myself.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, those that have read the textbook and have not had the experience, they are unbiased. So they can assist you through that process. A lot of it, mental health is a stigma. You bring up mental health and people want to run from it, particularly in my culture. They want to run from it and they want to think they can pray their way out of it. No, you cannot. You cannot. Now you can add your prayer with your social worker or your psychologist or your psychiatrist that you're working with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Being in cooperation with one another, but you cannot pray this thing away.
Right.
It ain't going away. It will develop and it will become what I call a monster.
Wow. Hey, before we get into the chakras, let me go to the audience on this topic here. Mr. Producer, we got some instant feedback, but Yashu'a was, and thank you for sharing, by the way. That's
thank you.
Pretty awesome. I'm sure that helped some people. So, Mr. Producer, what do you got for Yashu'a Eloheem?
We have Sarah in Louisville wants to know, is there still too much of a stigma about seeing a therapist?
Absolutely. But you have to, if you feel like you need to see a therapist, go see a therapist. Get out of the rat race of suggestions and step into your individual power and take back your power. Be proactive about your health.
Yashu'a, how do you feel about medication when it comes to mental health?
I think, I think it's a positive thing. I think it's a positive thing. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the first time that I was put on a medication for depression, somewhere in my being, I said, okay, this medication is going to assist me in coping with this depression. It's going to teach me how to deal with my depression. So in that sense, I said, I'm not going to be dependent on it very long. It's just going to come in. It's going to show me how my mind needs to work. And then I'm going to get off of it. And then I'm going to be doing my own thing. And that's exactly what happened. So conventional medicine, yes, it helps. It helps, but I would not be completely dependent on it. But if you have to, so be it. So be it.
Do you think sometimes the doctors are very quick to hand over a pill rather than do the work, like you said, to put the work in?
Absolutely, because the people are so quick to put a pill in their mouth and think it's going to go away when it's not going to go away. It just puts a Band-Aid over it.
Yeah, Band-Aid.
It mask it. It just places a mask over it, but it's still there. Yeah. Once the medication dies down, it's still there. You still have to cope.
Gotcha. Yeah. Miss Producer, we got one more, and then in the last couple minutes we can move over to the chakra. So let's do one more. Can we do that?
Yeah, we have Alyssa in Nashville wants to know, does learning to say no a bit more help balance our mental health?
Absolutely. That's most of that is a problem. That's most of people's problems.
That's a big one.
Not being able to say no. And this runs right into the throat chakra.
Good.
See, this is about the throat chakra, being able to stand up and speak up for yourself. This is what this is about. You're going to be able to say, no, I'm not going that way. I'm going this way because my intuition tells me to do so. And you don't care. You don't give a rat's.
there's the Marine.
Who you leave behind. It's all about you as an individual at the end of the day.
The throat chakra, you mentioned intuition too, but is the intuition in the throat chakra, or that's can you talk more about the throat chakra? I know that you said it's the ability to say no, but I know there's a lot bigger than that, right?
Yeah. Well, this is what I do want to say. When I speak of intuition is all over you. You know what I'm saying? It's all over you. So you may feel it in your gut. You may feel it in your chest. You may even start doing, scratching on your arm because there's something uncomfortable about a situation. So intuition is all over you. The throat chakra is right at the throat.
It's right here.
Right here.
Okay.
Because usually, when you can't speak up for yourself, guess what? Guess what happens to your throat chakra? It feels like it closes up.
Like a lump in your throat.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. It exactly. It feels like it's a lump in your throat, a blockage.
Yeah. Yeah. Does it have a color? This one have a color too?
This does. It's blue.
It's
my
blue.
favorite color.
Okay.
Oh, you got a blue.
And I got blue. So how do we know if our throat chakra is blocked? What are we not forceful? Are we not bold, or are we not sure of things? Can we not articulate very well?
Yes, you're not. You probably have a tendency to skip over your words because you're trying to get the words out and they're just not coming out.
Right.
Or you may have hoarseness in your throat. Okay.
That's a sign too. Yeah.
You may have scratchiness in your throat. I understand we do have flu symptoms and things of this nature. But even during those seasons, you have to understand that your whole body is trying to calibrate itself to a newness. Okay. So you can bless the sickness and move on. But yes, when you cannot speak and you've gone hoarse, there's scratchiness in your throat, your tonsils may hurt, something around your neck. Check yourself about how are you expressing yourself? Do you need to express something? Do you need to speak up about something? Okay, because a lot of times you got your thyroid, you got your esophagus, you got your trachea, you got your tongue, you got your mouth, your whole mouth. Okay, so all of these things can be affected by a blockage in your throat chakra.
Wow. Could that also be, maybe, like when you're with somebody or something and there's something that you want to say, but for some reason you keep it to yourself? Could that develop a block too?
Mm-hmm. And now I'm going to say something about that. See, if you don't say what you need to say, that energy goes down into your throat and it's going to go down into the other chakras.
Wow. Okay.
See?
Yeah.
It's going to, yeah. Energy moves like water. It moves like water.
Mm-hmm. And as you told us, they're all connected.
Yes.
So if you got a block with one, it's gonna. So, Mr. Producer, do we have time for one question? We do. Okay, good. We got time for one. All right, here we go.
Right.
We have Luke in Long Island wants to know, how can trauma make it hard for people to speak up for themselves?
Oh, good question.
How can trauma?
Yeah.
It can make it, because you're embarrassed. You have these internal dialogues with yourself and you feel shame. You feel ashamed that it happened. And I'm only saying this because I have my own experience. And because of that, I didn't say nothing.
Right.
I didn't say anything.
Kept it all in.
So you start having you start blaming yourself for it. Oh, if I would have done this, it wouldn't have happened. No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And you have to get to a space and place within yourself where you can accept that it is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to be proactive about your mental health. That's the only thing that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well said. Well said. Yashu'a, Eloheem, I love your show. Let me give you the last word, my friend. Another great one. Thank you so much. You have the floor, my friend.
Okay. I am Sunkofadiv.com. I am Yashu'a Eloheem. I'm Dr. Yashu'a Eloheem. I'm Doctor of Divinity. Okay. You can reach me at 984-444-2157 if you want a free consultation in regards to my services. But until that time, I say to you all, be proactive about your mental health. Be proactive. Take back your power. Be an individual go out and get the help that you need, because at someday, this thing that I'm doing with Casey Armstrong, you might have to do it too.
You're awesome. Doctor, thank you so much, and always a pleasure. And we will see you soon. Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, thank you.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.